Okay, so episode number 2 of Defying History. Yay, I have content. Okay, today we'll be talking about genuine liberation, not just sovereignty and independence from colonialism, but also social liberation as was theorized by the great African nationalist Amilcar Cabral. And this genuine liberation is pretty much, do the majority of the people benefit both socially and economically from the independence gained? And this will be done in the context of the first Japanese restoration that began in 1868. And it was precipitated by the coming in of the West, that is America and Europe, into Japan and invading them for resources and energy and coal. Does that sound familiar? I'm sure it does. And of course there was collaboration and resistance from the Japanese people, and the resistance was quelled brutally. So they figured the only way to push out these invaders, the best way to resist, is to be like them, to understand their ways, to understand how they think, to use their technology against them. So a good number of young Japanese students were sent to America to learn their ways, to get into the education system, to understand how these people thought, with the aim of coming back and claiming their nation and avoiding colonialism, be it direct or neo-colonialism, as we have come to call it today. And all of this is again very similar. People like Tom Boyer and Jomo Kenyatta learned abroad, both in Europe and America respectively, and then there were the airlifts that saw the likes of Wangari Maathai and Obama's father go off to learn in America. The question is whether the aim and the purpose for that was the same. Anyway, so sure enough, a small group of elite, the samurai, whom we all well know, arose and started to form a government. Samurai had their ponytails and their swords, because they were the only ones who were allowed to carry swords at the time. And again, they were the elite. And they installed a new emperor called Meiji, who was 16 years old at the time. So of course, they are the ones who had the real power. They used his seal and his name to pass all these economic and military policies and to begin to form a strong nation that we now call Japan. However, to do this, they relied heavily on the farmers. The farmers were the second in this, class then in Japan. And they used to provide half of their harvest to the samurai, because the samurai didn't work and they needed, food, and they were pretty much servants of the samurai. And sure enough, when the new government comes in, they're the ones who are paying more tax. They're the ones whose sons are being taken up to join the army, and they're like, hell no, they rebel. They're like, what are we gaining from this? Why are we supporting this new government? What is our place in this new system? So the samurai are left to figure out, how do we create a nation? How do we bring our vision to pass while maintaining peace and making sure everyone benefits? So they decide to kill off the samurai class. Yeah. They decide to suspend the stipend they were receiving from the farmers. They cut off their ponytails, they hand in their swords, and they start their own businesses. They become like the people in order to create a cohesion amongst the people. And this is what Amilcar Cabral was talking about. He, and I quote, in fact I shall quote, he was like the petite bourgeoisie leaders, those who have better opportunities, those who are better educated. They come face to face with a terrible alternative. Should they either betray the revolution by siding with imperial capital, which is what we ended up doing, or should they remain faithful to the popular masses by committing suicide as a class in order to be reborn as workers, completely identified with the deepest aspirations of the people to which they belong? And that's what the samurai decided to do. They decided to commit class suicide. And this was also faced with resistance from amongst the samurai class, who did not understand why they should not preserve, their status in society. However, that resistance was shot down and the samurai died. The samurai class died, and this gave birth to the Japanese Restoration. And farmers and the artisans and the merchants who for the first time felt they could have a say in how they were ruled, they could contribute to government, began to cooperate with this new government and the policies they came up with. And again, our Vision 2030, do we need to have a whole, class suicide thing going on for the majority of Kenyans to get on board with it? Who knows? But there has to be a level of sacrifice from the bourgeoisie, from our elite, from our politicians, which we all know, which we all sing. But the question is, how shall this be done? Shall that need to be a revolution? Shall we need to rebel? Who knows? The question is, how shall it be done? And I think we shall explore that a bit more. We shall bring in Korea and China because they definitely influence Japan. Japan is not an island. See what I did there? Anyway, we shall explore this story of genuine liberation a bit more and see how we can make it happen. Not just theoretically, we can make it happen and, hopefully bring Cabral's vision to pass. Okay, until next time, cheers.